Everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today we will discuss about the remaining part of the mechanical properties of fluids. What are all the important formulas and what basis questions will come. So I told you one more thing is also we will discuss, that is Archimedes principle. So based on this, how the questions will come and what exactly we need to understand. So I will tell you in a simple way. So please try to understand. When there is a liquid having the density sigma and a solid body is immersed, you immerse a solid body inside whose volume is V, whose density is rho, whose mass is m. So mass equal to volume into density. Then what can happen is you immerse and leave it. Then this may sink, this may come up and float. So when it will sink? It will sink when you consider the solid body downward mg and upward it experiences one force, that is called force of buoyancy, which is equal to volume of the solid body inside the liquid, not the total volume of the solid body. The volume which is inside into density of liquid into G. So, if you consider a solid body inside the liquid, then it experiences two forces. One is its weight due to gravitation, another one force of buoyancy due to the liquid. And here, if mg greater than b, so mg greater than b means, so mg means total volume into density into g greater than b. B means V inside. Now the body is inside completely. So V and sigma G. G cancel. V cancel. So rho greater than sigma. That means what? If density of the body is more than density of liquid, then downward weight is more than upward buoyancy. Then the body will sink. That means it will go to the bottom of the liquid. So it will reach the bottom. It will sink. So in that case, mg greater than b or rho greater than sigma. Like if you drop a stone in water, it will sink because density of water is more than density of water. Now similar way, suppose when you immerse a solid body, like you take a ball or thermocol sheet, you dip it inside the water and leave it, it will come up. Because when you dip it, there is a buoyancy, there is an mg, but it is lightweight, so that the buoyancy will be more than this one. So that V sigma g greater than V rho g. So sigma greater than rho. In this case, the density of liquid is more, that's why it will come up onto the top surface and it will float. So if density of liquid is more, body will float. If density of body is more, then body will sink. Now one question should come in your mind. Sir, what happens if sigma equal to rho? If both are equal, then what happens is, if this is the liquid surface, the solid will immerse completely but floats. It will not go inside and it will not float above also. It will stay on the surface but with total volume inside, where mg should be equal to buoyancy. That is the condition. So these are the three conditions when it will float, when it will sink. That is the first thing we need to understand. Now, how the question will come? That is important. Okay, we understood the formula we have taken. Now, in case of sinking, suppose first, when a solid is sinking, then what they can ask is, there is a true weight mg, there is a buoyancy force V inside into sigma into g. Then they will ask you what is the apparent weight. So inside the liquid, the solid experiences or feels like it is less weight because of this force, just like apparent weight in lift. So here it will become true weight minus buoyancy. This is called apparent weight. So they will ask you to find out what is the apparent weight. Then apparent true weight means mg minus b, or else mg minus v sigma g, or else mg also we can write it as v rho g minus v sigma g. So if we take v rho g common, so 1 minus sigma by rho, so W apparent equal to V rho g nothing but mg. So mg into 1 minus sigma by rho. Mg is nothing but true weight. So 1 minus sigma by rho. So this equation, this, anything. So based on this manipulation, they can ask. What I have done is I tried to find out the relation between apparent weight and true weight. So that is what the first kind of question they can ask you. The relation between apparent weight, true weight and force of buoyancy. Now, based on this, what else we can find is, suppose you consider a solid body hanging from a massless string whose mass is m, then tension in the string is mg. But when the same situation, if you consider in this manner, like it is dipped inside the liquid, now the density of the solid rho, density of liquid sigma, then upward tension and upward buoyancy force and downward mg. Then tension plus buoyancy will become mg. Then tension will become mg minus b. Nothing but what? Apparent weight. Just before we have seen. So that what is the equation will become mg into 1 minus sigma by rho. So this is the tension. Tension in a string when a solid is attached from it and that solid is dipped inside the liquid, where liquid density sigma and solid density rho. Also, they'll ask you to find out one more question based on the same thing. What is that is? What is the relative density of the solid? So the question is relative density of solid. The question is relative density of solid. So what is the meaning of relative density of solid? So relative density of any substance means density by density of water. Yes or no? Now what you do is, first you have to find this one. Now here what I will do is, I will multiply with volume and divide with volume. Whose volume? Volume of the body. And I will multiply with g and divide with g. Now if you look at the numerator V rho g, and if you look at the bottom V rho wg. So V rho g means nothing but mg. V rho wg nothing but V sigma g. Like sigma what I consider? Liquid density. So that here mg by V sigma g is nothing but what? Buoyancy force. So when you take a solid, you find its weight in air. This is the true weight in air. Then you find the buoyancy force on it. Then you can find relative density. Or else in the question they have not given the buoyancy force. They have given true weight and apparent weight. Then what you have to do? This is true weight. But buoyancy force means what is the equation? True weight minus apparent weight. Just before all we have seen apparent weight means W minus B. So from this, if you brought B this side and WA this side, B can be written as W minus WA. So if you know the true weight of a body and apparent weight in water, then you can find the relative density of the solid substance. So using this formula, true weight and apparent weight. Now afterwards, one more thing they can ask you, relative density of liquid. Just before relative density of solid. Now to find relative density of liquid, you take water, you take liquid. Then you take one solid. So the water density rho W, liquid density rho L, the solid density rho. Now first you immerse inside water and find the buoyancy force. B, let's take B inside the water. That is volume into rho W into G. Then you immerse the same liquid in this liquid. Then find the buoyancy force. So buoyancy in liquid is V rho L G. Because same solid, that's why volume is same. Now here apparent weight is true weight minus BW. True weight, apparent weight in water. Here apparent weight in liquid is true weight minus buoyancy in liquid. Now we want relative density of liquid. Relative density for liquid. That means density of liquid by density of water. So here what I will do is, I will multiply with V. Whose V? Volume of solid, and G. Now if you take the numerator V rho Lg and denominator V rho Wg, but V rho Lg means buoyancy on the solid in liquid, and this is buoyancy on what? Buoyancy on the solid in water. But from these two equations B, L, I can write it as W minus WL, and this I can write it as W minus WL. So here relative density for the liquid formula means true weight of solid and apparent weight of solid in the liquid and apparent weight of the solid in the water. So these three things if you know, then you can get the relative density. So based on relative density of liquid also, they can ask you the question. Now, one last and final, that is in case of floating, when you consider this is the liquid and one solid is floating. So whenever the solid is floating, then the first condition is it is in equilibrium. That means true weight downward should be equal to buoyancy upward. And buoyancy means volume inside into sigma g equal to true weight means total volume into density of solid into g. So this is the balancing condition. So that the volume which is inside we will get it as V rho by sigma. So how much volume is inside they can ask you. Also they can ask you how much volume is outside. So if you know the total volume V inside plus V outside. So V outside will become V minus V inside. Then you can get the total volume outside. So they can ask you total volume inside or total volume outside. Also they can ask you fraction of volume inside. So total volume inside by total volume. That is rho by sigma. Percentage if they are asking, then multiply with 100. Similar way fraction of volume outside also they can ask from here V naught by V. So like that the question can be asked based on apparent weight, true weight, buoyancy and relative density of solid or relative density of liquid. So these are all the questions which you can expect in the NEET or CET entrance. So simple formula based, you have to understand the question and you need to remember the formula properly. Now after this, the next thing is viscosity. So what is viscosity? That we have to understand now. And what kind of questions will come based on that? Let us try to understand. Viscosity means, viscosity is nothing but friction in liquids. Viscosity is nothing but friction in liquids. When liquid or fluid is flowing, then we have to imagine them like layers, one above the other. And when one layer is trying to move, other layer will try to stop it, so that there is a opposition between the layers of the fluid or liquid, and that only we call it as frictional force in liquids, and that only we name it as viscous force, and that nature only we call it as viscosity. So the nature of the liquid due to which it moves slower or faster than other liquid. Like if you pour some water, it will move faster. But on the same floor, if you pour some oil, it will move slowly. That means viscosity of oil is greater than viscosity of water. That is the first thing. And between the two layers, what is the viscous force is eta A dV by dx. So where A is the area of contact between the two layers and dV by dx is velocity gradient. So wherever the gradient word comes, you are dividing with distance or you are differentiating with respect to distance. So here velocity you are differentiating with respect to distance between the two layers. That's why we call it as velocity gradient. And this one we call it as coefficient of viscosity. What is this? Coefficient of viscosity, one constant. Now we can define coefficient of viscosity as eta equal to, take this area this side, by dV by dx. So force by area is called what? Stress. But here between the layers parallel to the surface this friction will act. That's why the force is parallel to the surface, just like tangential force. That's why we call it as this one tangential stress. So the tangential stress per unit velocity gradient we call it as coefficient of viscosity. Tangential stress per unit velocity gradient we call it as coefficient of viscosity. So the very first kind of question they will ask based on this equation. This is the one thing. So what is the viscous force between the two liquid layers? And the next important thing is based on Stokes law. So what is Stokes law is, if there is a solid body enters into liquid, then depending upon its velocity, it experiences an opposition force as it disturbs the layers of the liquid. That force only we call it as viscous force, and that force is given by 6 pi eta RV. But we cannot apply this for any shape. We can apply this formula for only spherical shape. If a spherical body hit the liquid surface and penetrates through the liquid surface, then the layers of the liquid get disturbed and it experiences force. That force only this one. What is this? Viscous force due to a viscous liquid on spherical body. And here if you take, suppose you drop the solid body, like you take this much of stone and put it on the water surface, then slowly it will go down. What is the initial velocity? 0. It keep on increases and it becomes constant at particular instant. Similar way, if you throw the stone, its velocity keep on decreases and becomes constant at particular instant. So that particular instant where the solid body velocity becomes constant, that velocity we call it as terminal velocity. Why it becomes constant? Because at that condition, if you consider the solid body, there is one true weight, there is one buoyancy, there is one viscous force, so that upward force balances the downward force and it moves with constant velocity, and that constant velocity only terminal velocity. From this you can find the equation as 2r square by 9 eta into rho minus sigma into g. So this is the terminal velocity of a solid body when it enters into a liquid. So that is the terminal velocity. Now based on this terminal velocity, one simple type of question can come. Either formula based question come based on the Stokes law formula or terminal velocity formula, or else sometimes when two drops, let's take the radius r1, r2, if they combine, then they become into one big drop. Then what is the new terminal velocity they will ask. Here terminal velocity v1, here terminal velocity v2, here terminal velocity v. Then what is the terminal velocity they will ask. But usually here what they will give is some n number of drops, all are equal, like 1, 2, 3, so on n. like all are radius r, 1, 2, 3, so on, n. They combine to one big drop of radius r. And in such situation, what remains constant is mass remains constant. That nothing but volume remains constant. So we will make the first equation as n into 4 by 3 pi r cube equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is the final volume. This is the volume of each drop initially. So this is the total volume of all the drops. So volume remains constant. As volume remains constant, here you will get the relation between initial radius and final radius, or small radius and big radius. Then the terminal velocity is proportional to r square. So V big by V small means r big by r small whole square. So like this, comparison based question also they can ask. So one is based on viscous force between two liquid layers, F equal to minus eta A dV by dx. And another one is based on Stokes law. What is the viscous force experienced by a solid body? 6 pi eta Rv. And afterwards, what is the terminal velocity? It's 2r square by 9 eta into rho minus sigma into g. Afterwards, comparison between two different drops or bubbles. What is the terminal velocity? Or in case of combining, merging of some n number of drops into a big drop. So if the V is the terminal velocity of each small drop, then what is the terminal velocity for the final big drop? Like raindrops from falling. So they combine and they become into one big drop. So like that they will ask questions. So these main things you have to focus related to viscosity. Now comes the final one, surface tension. Let us try to understand what kind of questions will come. Surface tension. So surface tension, the name itself is saying like the surface of liquid is under tension. It is not under tension, it behaves like it is under some tension. So one simple example what you can do is you take a U-shaped frame and dip it in a soap solution with a movable wire. So one U-shaped frame you take and one slidable, so one wire which can slide over the frame, you arrange it and dip it inside the soap solution and remove it. You will see here soap film, and every time whenever they mention film, two surfaces will be there. Even if you put your hand also into soap solution, you will see some film, soap film between your fingers. But there are two layers, one this side, one this side. Same way here for frame also, one this side, one this side. So two layers or two surfaces will be there. And when you keep horizontally, then you will see that this slowly moves towards this direction, such that the surface area of the liquid keep on decreases. So it is trying to decrease its surface area. It is behaving like it is under some tension. So that nature only we call it as surface tension. What we call it as surface tension. So because of that nature, it is trying to acquire minimum surface area. In that process, it is applying force on the solid which is in contact. So here it experiences force, and force per unit length, that is 2L. Why we are taking 2L? Because I said two surfaces will be there. That's why two lengths. One this side, one back side. So this we call it as surface tension. So surface tension is nothing but force acting per unit length. And surface tension is the nature of a liquid due to which it tries to acquire minimum surface area. That is what the nature. It behaves like it is under some tension and trying to acquire minimum surface area. Even a raindrop always in spherical shape, because for a given amount volume, the minimum surface area is possible for spherical shape. So because of that surface tension nature, it tries to acquire minimum surface area, and sphere is the minimum surface area, that's why it will acquire spherical shape. That is the first kind of question. Like what is the force due to surface tension, they will ask. Suppose one example, you take a square or rectangle. Let's take rectangle LB. If you put it on the water surface, then it experiences force due to surface tension. Force equal to T into length. Don't take 2L always. The effective length which is in contact with liquid. And here, suppose this is frame. Frame means outside one layer is in contact, inside one layer is in contact. So, if you take the perimeter 2L plus 2B, that is inside, then outside means 2 times. But if you consider the plate, rectangular plate, no contact inside, only edges are having contact, then the force will become only 2L plus 2B. Like ring means 2 pi r outside, 2 pi r inside. But if you take a circular plate, only 2 pi r outside. So surface tension into effective length which is in contact. So that way, the very first kind of question what they can ask is, what is the force due to surface tension on a solid? Like wire, rectangle or square, frame or sheet or circular ring or circular sheet, they can ask you. That is the one type of question. Then afterwards, the other type of question is, if you consider the same experiment and when you try to pull it with the help of some force, then suppose it moved by a distance x, then there is a change in area, that is Lx, but two surfaces, so 2Lx. Then work done in this process is Fx, force into displacement, and this only I will multiply with 2L and divide with 2L. Then force by 2L means force per unit length nothing but surface tension, and 2Lx nothing but change in area. That means when there is a change in surface area of the liquid, then there is a work done. So that work done is surface tension into change in area, and this work done only will be storing as surface energy of the liquid. So surface tension into change in area, nothing but work done or change in surface energy or potential energy of the liquid surface. That only we call it as surface energy. Like one example I will tell you. Suppose you are forming one drop. You are forming one spherical drop. Initial area 0 and you formed one drop means what is the area of sphere? 4 pi r square. So delta A is 4 pi r square. Then work done is surface tension into delta A. Or they ask suppose bubble. So bubble means little confusion will come. See, drop means always inside the air. But bubble means bubble in liquid means air bubble. So air bubble means only one surface. So complete liquid and only one inside surface. If you take soap bubble inside the air, there is one surface inside, there is one surface outside. So here only one surface inside, outside completely liquid. But here there is air inside, there is air outside, soap bubble. So here two surfaces should be formed. That's why here formula comes. So the initial area 0 means 2 into 4 pi r square we have to take. So that's why that is the difference between drop and bubble. Drop means no confusion. Bubble means bubble inside the liquid is same like drop. But bubble inside the air like soap bubble, then area you have to take 2 times change in area. So that is the change in area. Then you can find work done or change in surface energy of the drop or liquid you can find. Now afterwards, here we can find that one more thing. If you take a drop or bubble, there is always excess pressure inside compared to outside atmospheric pressure. And the pressure difference we call it as excess pressure, which is equal to either 2T by R or 4T by R. Like in case of drop, as I said, 2T by R. In case of soap bubble, then it is 4T by R because two surfaces will be there. So this pressure difference we call it as excess pressure inside the soap bubble. That is the excess pressure. That's why a bubble or drop blows off very quickly because of high pressure inside the drop or bubble. And here See, delta P1 by delta P2 if you compare R2 by R1, or you can also calculate like this. See, pressure inside one by pressure inside other equal to, so what it will become, 2T by R plus P naught, 2T by R2 plus P naught. Or else, if you want to take volume ratio means what? R1 by R2 whole cube. So R1 by R2 means what? Delta P2 by delta P1 reverse whole cube. So they can ask you the comparison between excess pressure into drops or bubbles, or they can ask you the comparison between volumes and excess pressure or radius, anything. So they'll ask you to compare between the two different bubbles or two different drops regarding what is inside pressure, what is excess pressure, and how it is related with its radius. Smaller radius means greater, greater radius means smaller. Like that kind of questions also will come. And some special cases will be there that I will try to write in the notes clearly and I will send you. Please go through the notes. If there is any doubt, you please ask me. Right? Now, afterwards, one more thing is, that is last and final thing, capillary rise and angle of contact. So when you consider like a narrow tube, very narrow, equivalent to like our hair, and if you dip it inside the liquid, then depending upon the nature of the liquid, it may rise or it may, suppose this is the original level you are keeping inside the beaker. Now inside the tube the liquid level may rise or the liquid level may drop, minus h here plus h. Rise means plus, drop means minus. But the formula is 2t cos theta by r rho g, where r is the radius of the tube, rho is the density of the liquid, capital T is surface tension, and theta is angle of contact. What is angle of contact? Angle of contact means here, suppose there is a tube and this is the liquid surface. So when there is a rise, you will see the concave meniscus. When there is a drop, you will see convex meniscus. And when there is a solid and liquid is in contact, you can draw one tangent to liquid surface and you can draw one tangent along the solid surface in contact with liquid. Solid surface in contact with liquid, and that angle is called angle of contact. And if theta is less than 90 degrees, cos theta positive, so H is positive, rise in liquid level. If you consider here, this is the tangent of solid in contact with liquid, this is the tangent to liquid surface, here theta greater than 90, so that here we will get drop, because cos greater than 90 means it is negative. Here you can also understand in another way that, see, when cohesive forces are more, then this is possible. When adhesive forces are more, then this is possible. Adhesive forces means what? The force of interaction between liquid and solid, different material. Cohesive forces means what? The forces of interaction between liquid and liquid, same kind. So here between the liquid and solid, the adhesive forces are greater. That's why theta less than 90 and they pulled up along the solid. Here cohesive forces are more. That's why the liquid will be pulled down because of the remaining liquid molecules. So in the case of cohesive forces more, angle of contact greater than 90, so that there is a drop. And in case of adhesive forces greater, theta less than 90, there is a rise in the liquid level. That is what we have done. So here whether rise or fall, the formula is this one. This is the capillary rise. Rise of liquid in a narrow tube, we call it as capillary rise. Same thing happens in case of, like if you take a sponge and touch the bottom surface to water, then it will come up. because of the capillary action. Trees, roots will take the water from the ground because of the capillary action, like that. And here two more questions, last two more questions I will tell you. Suppose you dipped in some liquid and it raised up to some height h. Then what is the mass of the liquid raised, they can ask. Then mass will become volume into density. Volume means cylindrical shape. So pi r square, height is h into rho. So pi r square h into rho. And we have the h formula where h is 2t cos theta by r rho g. If you substitute, then you will get the total mass raised above the liquid level. So that question also they can ask. Also, suppose if you keep the capillary tube at some angle theta, then what happens? Then what happens is height remains same, but this length changes. This is the length of the liquid inside the tube. Where if you find the relation sin theta equal to h by L, so L equal to h by sin theta. Height of the liquid column remains same, but length of the liquid column changes. So such kind of questions we will get it based on the capillary action. So please remember, please try to remember each and every formula. Read the question carefully. So once you read the question carefully and take the data properly, then you have to think what data given, what they are asking, what kind of formula is there which will connect all of them. Then you will realize the basic idea. Then you can substitute and you can calculate. So this is what main thing, so that we completed fluids. So have a revision, try to solve the questions and ask me if there is any doubt. Right? Thank you.